We're talking with defensive backs coach Carl Franks. Hey, Coach Franks, looking at the spring practice so far, on the defensive side of the ball, you have, I guess you could say, the luxury of having 4 starters back and 8 returning letter winners in the secondary. But it doesn't matter how many starters or returning letter winners you have back. Bottom line for spring, work on the fundamentals?
Yes, definitely. What we're working on this spring is getting better at our technique. After watching cut-ups from last year, technique-wise, we weren't 100%, and there was times where we could have been at the spot to make the play, and our technique did not allow us to do that. So we're focusing on getting better at our technique, our fundamentals, and coveraging where our eyes need to be and our feet and our hands.
You have some good leadership returning as well, especially one of those guys, senior safety Tim Franken.
Well, Tim is definitely he's a leader. He's a quiet leader. He leads by example. The thing I like about Tim, he's very coachable. Okay, and you ask him to do something or fix this in his technique, and he works at getting that done. That's one of the things that I really like about coaching Tim Franken. Good player, good leader.
Just a couple other guys talking about the safeties. In addition to Franken, you have guys like Keith Enderline, Ryan Davis, Raynard Hamilton, all have earned some starts last season.
Right, definitely. Basically, week to week, based off your grade in practice and your grade in the game, that will determine who starts. And so it keeps those guys competing against each other throughout the season. So that's the reason for the different starts by different players. But all 3 of those guys, I'm comfortable putting them in the game. They've all done a great job while they're in there. And I think they're just going to be better this year because they've had a year in our system.
How about on the corners as well when you have returning starters, Kieron James, Chris Boone, and a couple other guys too that can certainly fill in and challenge for starting time. Another example would be Antoine Ford.
Right. It's good to have Boone and James back, and we're constantly working at getting those guys better, as well as Antoine Ford has got some playing time from last year, and we got some new guys that didn't see that redshirted last year. Daryl Hughes, David McDaniel looked very promising, and first thing I talked about was, technique. We need to get those guys and their technique right, and they're definitely going to be able to help us this year.
I know it's only after day 2 of spring practice, so it's kind of hard to give a full evaluation, but can you give me your thoughts so far on how the first 2 days have gone?
Well, day 1 was rough, okay? So we got some of the freshmen and some of the new guys that haven't really been on the defensive side of the ball for practice, learning our scheme. They're redshirting. So day 1 was very tough, but the ground we covered from day 1 to day 2 is pretty good, pretty remarkable. Guys were picking up things, we're flying around, we're making plays out there today, interceptions, knocking balls down, making the right calls. So I was pretty impressed with that today.
Here with senior defensive back Tim Franken. Tim, can you describe to the fans the importance of last year making that playoff run, and what does that mean for this year's 2011 team?
Well, it was a great bounce back from the year before. There's a lot of questions about how we were going to answer the calling of going 1-10, and coming in that season, we just put a bunch of hard work in, and we really reinstilled, what Leatherneck football is all about.
Now, you personally, you saw a lot of action, you hampered a little bit there at the end of the year with an injury, but now back here, full strength, 100%, heading into the spring. Looking at you, what you can bring to the table for your team and some of your teammates, especially the other seniors there in the secondary, what do you hope to accomplish for spring football?
Spring football, just first and foremost, we preach full effort. We're out there giving full effort, and assignment, we got to get our assignments right. DBs, defense as a whole, we're as a group of DBs, we got everybody coming back, and we had a solid year last year and just continue to grow from that.
How important is that playoff experience going to help this year's team?
Oh, a tremendous amount. That experience, is something I never experienced. Anyone on the team in the last few years hasn't been in the playoffs, so it definitely was a great experience.
What about, I know you guys fell short of winning conference championship, which was one of your goals, but I know this year that's got to be one of your top team goals as well.
Definitely. Conference championship, look at that's our first goal is the conference championship, and we didn't get that done. We made it to the playoffs, so we're going to come back hungry next year.
What about some of your teammates in the secondary? Tell me a little bit about what they bring to the table.
Well, Kieran James, he's been playing as a true freshman. He's got raw athletic ability. He's he's a ball hawk. He had that great pick against Coastal Carolina that sealed the win. We got Chris Boone. He's another great athlete at corner spot, and he brings a lot of great things. And then we have Ryan Davis. Ryan Davis at strong safety. He's a physical. He's not a big guy, but I mean he'll bring it and he could cover.
What about, and you got a couple other seniors too, because not only you and Ryan Davis, but you also have Raynard Hamilton and Keith Enderline in the safety spots as well,
deep.
All seniors.
Yeah, we're deep. I could go on about everyone. Hamilton's another great guy with physical attributes bringing to the table. Keith will come down and hit you, and he's the leader out there, free safety, calling out plays and stuff. So, yeah, definitely a good group.
Now, for you personally, bringing some leadership to the defensive unit, how do you handle that day in and day out here in spring practice?
You just encourage when you think they need encouragement, and then, coach them up when they need coaching. And, the experience I have, just try and help them out with everything, and everyone seems to be picking up on everything real good.